Apologize very much on behalf of our partner here who has been giving the services to us. Unfortunately, even though I came here at 10 minutes past 7 and he has been here before that, something went wrong. I think as Peter's principle, when things have to go wrong, they go wrong. I apologize for this 10 minutes late start to our webinar today. But let me just once again welcome each one of you to this wonderful gathering in cyberspace. I want to say some opening comments and then I want to leave the whole opportunity for you to ask me questions. The purpose of this webinar is for me to get an opportunity to really listen to you, to answer the questions that are important to you. So my opening comments are like this, that I feel very blessed to have been given this opportunity to have been part of the founding of SOIL. SOIL is a story that began many years back when we began to ask ourselves the question that what are the issues in our world today that we need to take responsibility for. And if you look at everything, for example, in our country and in our world today, there are issues about disparities of income between the highest paid and the lowest paid. There are issues about very poor standards of nutrition and education and health in the country. There are issues about skill gaps in the country. There are issues about the economy slowing down in the country and so on and so forth. So I think when we look at economic development in a country, it cannot be just GDP as a growth rate that is economic development. I think we have to talk about everything being holistic. It means that we have to really be concerned about our people having a standard of living that really makes it possible to have the kind of holistic living that we talk about. We also talk about the fact that is it possible for people to live in harmony, in peace, so that they can enjoy the fruits of their own development. All these issues are extraordinarily important, and businesses are the most profound force on the planet because we spend more of our waking hours in our workplaces than we do at our homes and neighborhoods. So the way we work together in workplaces has a profound impact on the culture of our times, because if we return home from our workplaces fully nourished and inspired, we take that positive energy into our homes. That spreads to our community, that spreads to the country and to the world. So business and organizations and workplaces are extraordinarily important. They are the stage in which we realize our potential. And so I think this was with this whole vision that we said we must build leaders who take responsibility for the state of our world. If they use their work to express their highest potential and in the process they do more good, they treat their employees, their customers, their partners in a way that builds inspired cultures, I think it improves the country. And so with this vision we thought that businesses really at the very least need to create inspiring workplaces for their people and their partners. But those businesses who really want to take responsibility for a larger contribution then must also see how they can take responsibility for the slums around them, for the poor people who are living around their offices and plants, for the education, and for all multiple social responsibility that businesses must take charge of. So I think it is with this vision that we thought we should begin a new experiment in higher education where the students who enjoy responsibility, who do their so-called management education, don't just learn how to plan, organize, control and deliver superior results, but these people actually take responsibility for making our world better. And it was with this feeling that we said we must have leaders who are first of all totally aware, so they know what the issues in the world are, then they begin to care, and then they dare to follow the right path, which is ethical, which is fair, and fair to all stakeholders. And such leaders then will take decisions which are sustainable, and while doing all this they will learn to take advantage of each other's strengths. By doing that they will value the whole diversity that is there in this country, which we are totally blessed to have. So it is with this vision that SOIL has been created. It's a new experiment in higher education to build leaders of this kind, and we are also in SOIL teaching leaders to think holistically so they don't get bound by only the what they have known in the past, but they truly have the capacity to learn in a holistic way. They have a capacity to link all the dots and to think from a whole system's perspective. So they have the competence to do the critical thinking required to solve the complex problems of today. And lastly, what is most important is, above all, leaders working in organizations must first learn how to lead themselves. If leaders can learn the way they think, the way they relate to people, and the way they act, this self-knowledge will help them to then earn the right to lead others. So self-leadership is extraordinarily important, which we teach in SOIL, and one of the most important aspects of self-leadership is each student is taught to know herself or himself better, to understand their own strengths better, understand their own larger purpose in life better, and then learn how to use their own strengths towards their purpose. So that gives them complete joy and happiness when every one of us learns to use our talent towards the goals that are important to us. We have tremendous enthusiasm, and that's what we teach in SOIL. The real meaning of education is to bring out. Educere in Latin means to bring out, and so we help our students to bring out their latent talent or potential, and that's how this process works, and that's how the process moves forward. So I think these are just my opening comments, and I would like to now respond to your questions so that you can so this is really a two-way process. I don't want to lecture at you, I want to respond to your questions. So okay, now there are already some questions here. Kumar Ujwal is asking a question: what if CAT score is not decent? See, the CAT score measures your verbal ability and measures your analytical ability. Now these are only two abilities or intelligences that are important, which is linguistic intelligence and analytical intelligence. We in SOIL believe that in addition to these two, human beings have emotional intelligence, they have creative intelligence, and they have an intelligence of really execution or execution intelligence. So we have a way of measuring students' intelligence in a multiple way. We don't go only by CAT, which in our opinion measures only 20% of the intelligence of a human being. Oftentimes, especially if you go higher up in your organization, verbal and analytical ability only works to a certain point. After that, what is required is emotional intelligence, the way you deal with people, your ability to think out of the box and come out with new ideas, which are so important, and your ability to use your time and the way you manage your time and the way you manage your own stress is so important so that you get things done. So the test that we use is far superior to CAT. It is called the Caliper test. It actually was developed more than 50 years back by one of the world's topmost psychologists. 300 psychologists, 100 of them PhDs, helped in developing this company called Caliper. More than 3.5 million human beings all over the world in different management positions have taken this test, and we have been using it in India for the last 12 years. For example, all the leaders of Tata Steel have taken this test, so also many leaders in Mahindra's, and many companies like that have been tested on Caliper, and we have more than 15,000 Indians whom we have tested over the last more than 10 years, which helps us to understand their profile. So when you apply to SOIL, we take your Caliper test and we compare you with the 15,000 Indians we have tested and the 3.5 million worldwide citizens of the world who have taken, and this to us is far more valuable. So if your CAT score is not that great, you don't have to worry as long as you perform on some of the other aspects of Caliper. If of course your analytical score is very low, because that will be tested even on Caliper, then of course you have to ask yourself the question, should you be studying management and our course and our leadership, or should you be doing something else? So that was a question that we talked about. There are some other questions that was already there here before we were to start, and I think, where are the other questions? Please help me to deal. Only one question was there in this list. Where are the, could you please ask me more questions? Where are the other questions? Okay, help us. Please put whatever you need to put here.
This is the question by Saurabh Sharma. This is the answer, sir.
Saurabh Sharma is asking, my question is, when I pass out from soil, will I be getting a degree or a diploma? Well, Saurabh, we give our own certificate, the MBA degree certificate, everything is a certificate. The MBA degree is given by those who register themselves with a university or register themselves with a government body like All India Council for Technical Education. Indian School of Business ISB and SOIL are the two institutions which have chosen to be autonomous. We have our own certificate. It's not a diploma or degree which is authorized by the people who give the status like the government departments. We have never gone to the government for approval, and we have clearly made a statement we have not got any government approvals. This is because the best companies in India support us. So whether it is Tata's or it is Hindustan Levers or it is Johnson & Johnson or it is Mahindra's, all these companies, 32 companies which are listed on our website, have helped us to co-create this program. And so the certificate that we issue carries the brand of each one of these companies. And the best employers of the country recognize our certificate. So we have more than 100 of the best companies in India which recruit out of soils over the last few years. They consider our program as equivalent to any MBA program or diploma program. And ultimately what matters is not the paper you get, but the recognition that the best companies give you. We get that recognition. There are more than 3,000 MBAs in India which are called degrees, which are recognized by the government. But these 100 companies don't recruit from these 3,000. They recruit only from a small number of institutes, including our institute. That is the biggest security a student should have, which is what we have in our school. Kumar Ujjwal is asking a question. When will... Okay, I think I've already answered Kumar Ujjwal's question, Karan. You were not in the room at that time. So okay, let's look at other questions from students. Okay, Dipali Bansal, thank you very much for asking a question. Dipali, you are saying you are a fashion designer. What kind of company would you think recruit me after SOIL's program? Well, depends on what kind of fashion designer you are. If you think you are a person who has understood aesthetics, if you have understood what is called design thinking, if you believe that you apply the three-dimensional way of design into thinking innovatively, then you are the person whom companies will value. You see, we have a program in SOIL that we call Design Thinking and Innovation. We also work with one of the world's top schools called MIP in Milan in Italy, who are our partners in this respect. So design thinking is what a fashion designer should talk about, which means your ability to think three-dimensionally should help you to generate innovative ideas. And if you can apply your knowledge and perspective on aesthetics to the field of work, then you will be valued by any company that values design thinking. If I was, for example, a Mahindra Automotive, and I am looking at designing a next generation car, I would look at a person who thinks like you with fashion design background, but who has now learned business to think holistically. Any car company, for example, we have, whether it's Mahindra which comes to our school, or TVS Motors, or it is Maruti Suzuki, who have in the past recruited out of our school. So all the auto companies should value you. I would imagine even companies which are developing any kinds of products, which are looking at the whole concept of developing new products, or even designing a new service in thinking innovatively. For example, if you think out of the box, and even if you are a Taj group of hotels which is developing a new property, a new proposal, they would value somebody who has design thinking. So as long as you think of fashion design in a really imaginative way, I would imagine any company which wants innovation, and everybody wants it, would value you. Okay, now Saurabh Khandelwal, you are asking a question. Would you suggest soil for people with 9 to 10 years of experience? One has to quit a well-settled job if one opts to join. You know, you have to think very much twice before, after 10 years of experience, you want to study with us, because frankly, I would ask a different question on your behalf, that why do you need to study further? If you wish to develop yourself, you have to ask yourself the question, because at your stage and age in life, you are not wanting to gain any certificate or a degree or a diploma. What you are aiming for is improving your own capability, realizing your own potential. You should not join any higher education program because simply by getting a stamp of that institute you will get a better job somewhere. That should not be the reason for you to join. If you are hungry for new knowledge and for learning, and you are willing to make this investment of 1 year of time and money in your own learning without worrying about a better placement. In other words, if we were to admit you in soil, we will not guarantee you a placement, because companies that come to us do not come for people with 10 years of experience. They are wanting people with 2 to 3 years of experience, or even 1 year of experience. Therefore, they are not looking for your segment. In fact, if you come to us, you will have to think of your own strategy on how you will learn at soil and use that learning to develop yourself. A better job may happen, may not happen. In fact, if I were you, I would request you to seriously consider, and if you are very hungry for new learning, you should take a year off or study leave from your job and then come here, and not just come here merely to get a stamp. That's what I would suggest to you. Anish Sudarshan is asking a question. Taking into account the business leadership program, which is not offered by other institutes, could you please help me understand the scope of this program and the career prospects in future? You see, Anish, in the business leadership program, we are taking people who have already been individual contributors, who have learned one functional dimension, like you have been in IT, in software, or you may have been in sales or any other such assignment. Now you are interested in broadening your thinking from an individual contributor. You want to become a first-time manager, you want to become a project leader, you want to become a business developer. Then you are moving from sales to business development, from writing code in IT to managing a project, for functions in individual role to a team leader role. This is what the business leader program, business leadership program helps you to do. Broaden your perspective, prepare you for either a higher level role within your own proficiency or a first-time manager's role. That's what we teach. Therefore, the focus in the business leadership program is in general management. The kind of roles you will expect after BLP is the role of a project manager or a project lead or a business developer or a product manager in sales and business development. Assignments of those kinds is what will suit you in that role. Now, Bhanu Agarwal is asking a question. How will be pursuing a 1-year program at soil be at par in competing with counterparts pursuing a 2-year management program? Bhanu, that's a good question. When we designed soil, we were very impressed with some of the best schools who are offering high quality higher education programs. We studied several European models, like in INSEAD, for example, which is one of the world's top 10 business programs, or HEC in France. We also studied the Richard Ivey program in Canada, which is called the Harvard of Canada. And we looked at the fact that what is a 2-year program and a 1-year program. For example, even at Harvard Business School or Stanford, you join in September, then in March you have a spring break, then in April you go for your internship, then you return in July, and then you go again for an autumn break, and then a Christmas break, and then again a spring break, and finally you pass out in April. So if you look at all 2-year programs all over the world, they are actually essentially 15-month programs. The rest of the time is spent on project, in internship and vacation. So we felt if we pick up people with experience, they don't require internship, they already know what working in industry is like. Such individuals can invest the time very carefully of 1 year. Of course, they have to be prepared to work very hard like all the people do in the 1-year program in Europe. I think all the world's top programs like INSEAD or HEC or IESC or all the top programs in Europe and the Richard Ivy program are all 1-year program, and that's why in fact worldwide there is a trend to move to the 1-year program. Even many of the top universities in America are introducing a 1-year program now. Even in all the IIMs in India, they have started offering a 1-year program to begin with for people with more experience. And I think this trend will gain more because 2 years is not needed when you are already earning good salary, when you are already working, and you don't want to take 2 years off because that's an opportunity cost. So the ROI on a 1-year program like ISB or SOIL or Great Lakes is perhaps far better than a 2-year program if you look at the complete return on investment. And if you look at the quality of learning or the curriculum, there is no difference. We teach as many courses in 1 year as a 2-year program does over 2 years. So you have to be prepared to work very hard, work 6 days a week, and practically forget everything else for that 1 year you are with us. If you are willing to do that, you will find it a very worthwhile exercise. Gopal Krishnan is asking a question. You are asking, you would like to know how SOIL differs itself from other top business schools in shaping future leaders through its program. I think my opening comments specified that. SOIL is an institute on inspired leadership. It's not a regular business school. So we are very unique. Our first focus is to help you to learn the essentials of leading your own self. That means understanding your own strengths, understanding the purpose of your own life, understanding how to learn using multiple intelligences. And for example, this method of knowing yourself and using multiple intelligences is supported by the question, how do you develop, even if your parents and your earlier education has helped you to have the right values, how do you strengthen your values and character? For example, do you learn how to manage your own mind? One of the most crucial leaders, qualities leaders must have is the ability to stay focused in the present. If you learn what His Holiness the Dalai Lama calls mindfulness, which is a practice of staying in the moment, that is a wonderful gift you can give to yourself. In SOIL, we teach that through meditation, pranayam, and yoga. This is an integral part. It's a 3-credit course in SOIL. Similarly, we believe that one of the biggest things that is needed in leadership is to develop your emotional intelligence, which means how do you learn to listen to not just what people speak, what do they imply? How do you learn to get out of your own shoes and step into somebody else's shoes to understand their feelings and emotions? How to develop more empathy? How to learn to work in a team so that the performance of the team goes up? How to learn to leverage each other's strengths so that you become part of a high performance team? These are wonderful aspects of emotional intelligence which we stress in SOIL. This comes out of the practice of compassion. One day in a week, our students work with an NGO on a completely different perspective which we call social innovation. You work on some complex problems like working with the poor children in the villages near Gurgaon, or trying to solve the health problem and literacy problem or the water problem of the town. By applying your brain power in solving such social issues, you are learning how to think out of the box, learning innovation, and you are learning how to feel the pain of those who experience these problems which you and I are not even aware of. By working with them, you get very moved, you get very inspired, and you become better leaders and human beings. That's the practice of compassion. And I think SP Jain is the only other business school besides XLRI to some extent, or Tata Institute of Social Sciences in another way, who also has this focus on social innovation. So we are the few schools that emphasize this in India. Then there is the practice of understanding how to take ethical decisions, how to balance the needs of different stakeholders, employees, customers, shareholders, community, environment. This practice of ethics cannot be taught just by giving you lectures on ethics or even case studies. In soil, we have 1 week intensive theater simulation with the top theater artists who come to us, and they do role plays. So you put yourself into the situation where you are facing ethical dilemmas, and how do you balance the needs of multiple stakeholders so you take the right decisions. That is the practice of ethics. Then in soil, we teach you how to understand diversity to drive innovation. So we teach you the profiles and the strengths of your classmates when you work in teams. We teach you how to leverage each other's strengths when you are working in teams physically and even virtually, which we do, for example, with virtual teams with other international business schools like the Carlson Business School. That's the practice of diversity. In soil, we also put a whole focus on the way you think whole systems, so that you understand the impact your decisions have on the ecological standards, on green and clean technologies, so that you are learning the skills of preparing for the world of tomorrow, where you will have the valuable insights. And we have a wonderful professor who comes from BGI, the Brainbridge Graduate Institute in Seattle, and he lives in Vancouver and teaches in Seattle, which is a neighboring city. And he comes and teaches this whole course. And like that, we get faculty from all over the world who teach you multiple perspectives so that you understand the true meaning of sustainability. These things are very unique in soil. Other business schools, very few business schools have such a comprehensive approach to teach you the capacity to think very differently and holistically, to make you feel very differently. And I think our USP is this model that we call inspired leadership. I think a bit of this is used by Stanford, for example, social innovation. A bit of this is used, for example, by SP Jain, which is like working for the underprivileged. A bit of this is used, for example, in MIP, which is the whole systems course and innovation. So we have learned from the best practices all over the world, and we have put this into this very unique offering that we call inspired leadership. And that is what is totally unique about soil. We are not competing with any other business school. We are trying to follow our purpose, which is to build leaders who first of all are aware of the needs of our world, then they deeply care to make a difference, and then they have this absolute daring and courage to go on the path which is less traveled, to become responsible for the problems of our world. So they act with that full daring, and they dare to be ethical. And I think that is something that is very, very unique about the soil curriculum and program. I think we have Sumit Kumar Singh, who has asked a question. Your aim, Sumit, is to add flexibility to your career so that you can switch to automobile sector from your present 3 years of steel industry. Though BLP will help me to gain this, and again considering my maintenance engineer mindset, with 1 year soil program, will I be able to cope up with the course pace? You know, I don't know what you mean by maintenance engineer, because I was on the board of Eicher. Before that, I was working in Tata Motors, or Telco as it was called. I have worked with my own hands on the shop floor. I have managed the factories at Faridabad of Eicher, where I had managed maintenance colleagues like you. And what I learned about at least the maintenance people, that the way I teach maintenance to my people was to think from a total productive maintenance mindset, or TPM mindset. So if your mindset is overall equipment efficiency and preventive health of the equipment, diagnostics which is non-intrusive, and if you really understand that even the machines are like human beings who need to be respected, and if you understand how their health can be enhanced, and if you are holistic thinking has been done in maintenance, then with that kind of learning, if you come to soil, then in this 1 year with the holistic perspective you will get, I think you will be able to add value to many of our automobile companies who have co-created soil, like Mahindra or Volvo Eicher and TVS Suzuki and Maruti Suzuki. These are wonderful organizations that work with us, and TVS Motors, not TVS Suzuki, TVS Motors, which works with us. So I think it really depends on you. If you have been the capacity to work with tenacity and work hard and ability to absorb, if you have the TPM mindset, then I think soil is the right school for you. So it's up to you to decide that. Avani Raghuvanshi, you are asking a question. You mentioned that a person with work experience is best suited for this program, as an internship would not help him all that much and would only amount to an extended time duration. What about a fresher? Avani, if you are a fresher, I want you to be very careful before you say you are right for a 1-year program. For a fresher, you must know that in your college, if you have the ability to be focused and if you have the capacity to work very hard and do multiple things at the same time, then I would like you to apply to soil. For freshers who are used to a little bit more easy pace of learning, and if you feel that handling pressure and doing multiple things has been, so what we would look for in your case and resume would be, have you participated in a lot of extracurricular activities even as you studied? Have you taken responsibility for some family and community responsibility even as you were studying? Have you taken responsibility for some personal passion that you had, like social work or something, even as you studied? If we see evidence that in the past few years you have the maturity and the ability to take pressure and enjoy doing multiple things, only then would we encourage you to enroll at soil. So I think you must ask yourself the question, because there are some freshers whom we have taken, they are exceptions rather than the rule, and some of our freshers have done much better than people with experience. One of them is Chhatraveer Singh, who was the youngest student who now works in Apollo Tyres, and he has got 2 promotions in the last 3 years in Apollo Tyres. I think he was one of our best students when he passed out. In fact, he got an award for being recognized by his own classmates. I think there are people like that. This year we have a young woman called Jayati, whom I just saw a few minutes back, and who is also a fresher. I think there are some freshers. There is also this fresher whom we had called Mayank Solanki in our first batch, who is the founder of an NGO in Bangalore called Yuva. And this, he's also been an exceptional fresher. So I think it really depends upon the kind of fresher you are, rather than just generalize it. And if you are a fresher and join us, then we ensure we get you multiple projects in industry even as you study with us. We also try to offer you projects within our own school rather than you go for an internship outside, so that you learn how to apply the thinking within the safe environment of research rather than go straight away get exposed to others. So we do take some freshers and they have to convince themselves and us of their ability to take on pressure, and then we take extra care of them to make sure they get the right kind of grooming while they are here with us. That's what I would answer. Now Saurabh, you have one more query. You are saying you have 3 years of experience in IT and will be joining soil in HR for this course. That congratulations. So companies coming for recruitment would be considering me as a fresher for HR field. How will the IT experience help me? See, if you are an IT company, if an IT company comes here recruiting for HR jobs, which some of them do, then they will also value the fact that you understand the domain, you know IT, and you also now know HR. But let's say you are applying for an HR role in a completely new industry like automobiles or FMCG or something else. There, at best, they will value your experience to say at least this person knows how to work in a team, he knows what the company cultures are about and how to be productive. They will value that. But they may not give you number of years of experience. They may not give that weightage in terms of your salary. So I would imagine, don't expect that if you are changing over from IT to HR, automatically companies will respect 3 years of experience as relevant experience. So as long as you are not hung up on the salary expectations, I think companies will value it because it will bring maturity. And if you are a fortunate one to get an HR role in an IT company, they may even value your experience and give you weightage for that. That is what I would say. Ayushman Deb is asking a question. You are an electronics engineer. Well, does work ex Janta have an edge over freshers in MBA? Work ex Janta have an edge over freshers in MBA? Well, as I mentioned a few minutes back, we value people with experience. We don't want people with too much experience, but we also don't, so the ideal experience would be 2 to 3 years. 1 year is also welcome. Interestingly, we have seen in India the trend is that companies value some experience, but they don't want too much experience. That's how it's all about. So if you have got 2 to 3 years of experience, you are an ideal candidate for soil. Now Rohit is asking a question. Rohit Sethi, you are asking, you are from media background, you are pursuing bachelor in mass communication should you choose HR as your profession? You know, Rohit, it really depends on why you chose to enter mass communication. If it was that you were choosing mass communication, let me try to answer on your behalf, that you felt that there are lots of opportunities in media and journalism and advertising and marketing and things like that, therefore you chose mass communications, then I think you would be very much suited for our marketing leadership program or even for a business leadership trying to enter into marketing and business development roles. If however you don't have much experience and therefore you are not eligible for the business leadership program, you have less than 2 years of experience and you are doing mass communication, then you could either enroll for the marketing program or the HR program, because people with mass communication background are also very useful in the communication process with employees. See, employer branding is a big deal in industry, and people with mass communication experience who work in HR can make a big difference on how to position yourself as an employer of choice. And I think this will give you in fact a competitive advantage. Now, although I am much older than all of you, when I did my MBA way back, I specialized both in marketing and HR, and I got job offers from some of the top companies in the country, which were also available to me in marketing. Of course, those days we didn't even have campus placement. We had to go out and get jobs for ourselves. So I was fortunate, I was getting a couple of offers in marketing, but then I found this amazing HR role in Tata Motors in Pune, and of course I've never regretted the fact that I started with HR, then got into operations, general management, consulting and so on. So I think it really depends on the reasons why you chose mass communication and what is the openness that you have in your heart for embracing the new adventure of learning for the future. But it could give you a competitive advantage in the fields that I just talked about. Now, I think Sumit has already asked the question. So, are there any more questions? I'm sure there are more questions coming up, so I'll wait for you to ask more. I think there was, yeah. Okay, let me wait for you to ask more questions. There are also some, meanwhile I'll just share with you some very interesting things that the School of Inspired Leadership has some amazing professors who visit from other parts of the world. For example, we have a professor who comes from the Carlson Business School, whose name is Svetlana Mazdar. She teaches the power of virtual teams. We have this professor who comes from Vancouver, Professor Simon Goland, who teaches whole system thinking. Then we have this professor from California who comes and teaches, Professor Chiranjeev Kohli, who teaches the marketing course, who is an amazing professor. His PhD is from Indiana University in Kelley School of Business. Then we have this wonderful Israeli professor who comes from New York, the Baruch School, and she teaches the course on global business strategy. She's an absolutely wonderful teacher with her things. So we have faculty of this kind. Then even from India, we have some outstanding faculty like Professor Parsuraman, who is a professor at IIM Kozhikode and also the director of the SDM Institute in Mysore. He is an absolutely wonderful professor in finance. We have one of the most wonderful professors who was the Dean of Executive Education of ISB, Shyam Viswanathan, who worked with me also in the consulting company Grow Talent, who is the only faculty member I know on every subject, every student rates him 5 out of 5. I have never seen such scores being obtained by any faculty in my whole life. And Shyam Viswanathan is a very special professor who comes and teaches here. So like that, we have some amazing faculty members. We have also the faculty members who teach full-time at SOIL, including I myself teach full 6 courses like any other faculty member. And I think I do this because I greatly enjoy the process of sharing my worldwide experience with my students and all the things that I have learned. And so this is something. And Aditi Sood, you are asking a question. Your query is, when can we expect to see the placement figures for the class of 2014? Aditi, so far about 50 students have already been placed. Our process began a few weeks back, and we have a rolling placement process. I think we are expecting by the time the convocation happens in the first week of May, we expect about 80 students out of the 100 who are eligible to be placed. And within 3 months of passing out of SOIL, I would expect 90 to 95% of the students being placed. although the economy is slow, we are very fortunate that our placements are very good, considering the fact that it's a very difficult year for Indian industry. We are blessed that every time our placement process reaches convocation, we are at about 70%, and by the time 3 months pass out of convocation, because some students are waiting for the right offers, some of them are making up their mind, some of them are not happy with what they are getting and they are wanting to explore. So I think it settles to about 90% placement within 3 months of passing out of soil. That has been our record every year. This year also we expect it to happen like that. Yes, Jairaj Joseph is asking a question, can you brief me about individual learning plan? That's a very good question, Jairaj. When you join our school, you have already been through a comprehensive talent appreciation process. You have written essays as a part of your admission process. You have been interviewed by a team of a faculty member and an industry leader. You have taken the caliper test. You have also answered some questions that we put you when you come for an interview. Then in the opening week of soil, we further put you through a lot of so-called comprehensive testing as a part of the induction program. At the end of the induction period, you prepare your first draft of an individual learning plan. This is all about what are your strengths, what are your goals for learning, how should you use your strengths to learn, what do you need to improve on, how can you use your strengths to improve. This is the first draft that you prepare, which is discussed with your internal mentor. Every student is assigned an internal mentor, which is one of our colleagues working in soil. Then within a few weeks of joining soil, we have a workshop with industry people. There we teach you on how to get mentoring help with an outside mentor. And this is the most amazing thing about soil. For every student in soil, we appoint an external mentor. These are senior leaders from industry. For example, the MD of Indus Towers, Shanta Raju. For example, Mr. Behel, who was the MD of ABN AMRO Bank. Or for example, Sanjay Gupta, who was a global leader and an India head of American Express. Each one of these people are personally mentoring our students on a one-to-one basis. I mean, this is an amazing thing that once in a month you get an opportunity to spend several hours with one of these amazing leaders, and with them you can discuss your objectives of development, what do you need to learn, how should you grow further, how can you make changes in your individual learning plan so you can derive the maximum learning out of all the experiences we are providing you in soil. So through regular dialogue with your internal mentor and an external mentor, you keep on making changes in your individual learning plan, and then over and above that, there is structured time in your curriculum, which we call it a learning review day. Every few months we have a learning review day in which with your faculty and program chairs, you review your progress and you talk about how you are becoming a better person, a better leader, and somebody who is understanding the domains that we are teaching you. So this is a part of, this becomes therefore the blueprint for you to track your own learning. Vrishin Bhamri is asking a question, where do you see soil to be 5 to 8 years from now? I see soil as a school which is making an impact in more ways than one. And here is how I wrote the long-term vision of soil, that there will be several thousand alumni of soil by then, not just in the full-time program, but we also do, I don't know if you have watched our website, we run something for the last many years called the Global Leadership Program that we do for senior leaders at the topmost levels, and we do that in 3 continents, in North America, Europe and emerging markets. Then we do a program called the Emerging Leaders Program for part-time course meant for every 3 months those people come to us for 1 week. This lasts like 1 year. We also do this program for high potential middle management people in HR, which we call People Next. So all these programs, the full-time program for which you are talking to me and the part-time program that we do for people at different levels, I visualize several thousand alumni of soil 5 years from now, and I visualize that each one of these leaders carry a special brand of soil in their hearts. These leaders, if they live in their families, the family should say, thank God our family member went to soil because he treats us with love and affection, with caring, with responsibility. The neighbors should say, thank God a soil product lives in our community because the person is responsible, is a good citizen, we are proud to have him. The companies where the person works should say, it's so nice to have a soil person in our company because that person, whenever he or she walks into the room, she lights up the room with positive energy. She has enthusiasm. She really cares. She works well in a team. She has the humility to learn. So my vision is that soil products should enrich the workspaces, life spaces, and community spaces in which they participate. And that is what this vision of soil is. We don't measure soil to say, should it be ranked high? I think the highest ranking we will receive will be in the hearts of the citizens of this country. If each time a soil person goes in the metro train and he helps an older person in need, or helps in cleaning up the train, or helps in taking the person who is injured in an accident to a hospital, I would feel proud that we have built soil. We will measure the success of soil by the way our products behave in society and in their workplaces. And if we hear the adjectives that I used, I would say thank God for this opportunity, for this blessing to create soil. That's how we will measure our success. Dhruv Mehta, you are asking a question which I have answered earlier, that being a fresher, how will soil help me in my career as compared to other business schools? Well, if you are a fresher, first of all, you should be willing to work very hard, and you should have had a track record of doing multiple things, of having done extracurricular activities, helping in your family in social work or other aspects. If you have a proven track record of taking on pressure, and if you have that sincere desire to make a difference, then soil will give you many opportunities to develop yourself. In the way we do individual career plans for you, learning plans for you, freshers are given an opportunity to apply the learning by also working on internal projects within soil. And so we are aware that you are a fresher, and we are aware that, and since we take very few freshers in soil, we are able to treat each one of them on an individual competence and do a custom built learning plan with them, so they get the best out of this experience. Because the number of freshers in soil out of my little over 100 students that join us every year, I think there are only 10 to 12 or 15 students maximum who are there who are freshers. So therefore, they are unique, they are special, and we don't just take any fresher. So we must be convinced that the fresher has real sincerity and real potential and real capacity to work hard. Then we are able to take them on. Bhanu Agarwal is asking, you would like to have your say regarding my future career aspects, as I am interested in marketing leadership program, come from a background in life sciences, have been an active participant in various social activities, have an experience as a business development associate since last 9 months. Can we opt for more than one specialization as soil, as in marketing and HR? Well, Bhanu, first of all, the first 4 months of our 1-year course are the same for BLP, MLP and HRLP. After that, suppose you have opted for one program, but at the end of 4 months, when you have got all the exposure, you want to make a change. If you have a minimum of 2 years experience, you can switch over from HRLP or MLP to a BLP. Similarly, any BLP student anytime can switch over to either HRLP or MLP. And similarly, within MLP and HRLP also, you can switch. So after 4 months, we give you this chance to make up your mind and finally switch that. Having said that, all our students, irrespective of the program, are given a very good appreciation of the disciplines of marketing and HR and general management. So irrespective of what you so-called choose, you have the flexibility to change after a few months, subject to experience norms, and we also make sure that you can take up projects. For example, when you do the social innovation project with an NGO, the teams work across cohorts. So BLP, MLP, HRLP all form one team and work together. Similarly, we have an action learning project in industry, like a consulting project. There again, the members of all the cohorts work together. So you get a lot of chances. Similarly, at least twice a month we call some distinguished leader to address soil students. At that time, the entire school is together. So even though you are in these 3 cohorts, There are lots of activities in which you do it together. I would say practically half the time you are together. And so there is also a lot of enriching of knowledge from each other, and you get exposure. So that is what I would say. Now Piyush Singh, you are asking a question, how difficult is it for a student with engineering background to cope up when he enters an entirely different stream like banking, finance or consulting? Is changing a stream worth it if our interest lies there, but I have absolutely no experience in that field? Piyush, I have worked with engineers all my life. Right from my first day, I was, in fact, when I was myself a trainee in Telco Pune, my responsibility was to look after the graduate engineering training program, GETs. Similarly, in Eicher, I used to look after the GET program. So let me tell you one thing. What engineering teaches you is an analytical bent of mind, ability to think and work in a structured way, and the real comprehensiveness in your thinking capability. Now, that is the potential that engineering teaches you, that gift of asking the right questions which people who are not engineers are not able to many times ask. If you use this gift to your advantage and use the spark of learning and use the curiosity to learn of an engineer to think about a whole systems approach and apply that to other disciplines, that is why engineers many times outshine others in a management education because of their superior thinking capability. There is no need of experience. In fact, let me give you a story. When I was the founder and MD of Eicher Consultancy, one day I brought this idea to all my consultants that let us use, these were all engineers working with me, that let us use our knowledge of the Toyota manufacturing system, just-in-time manufacturing, flexible manufacturing, and what is called the demand pull system, and apply that to banks. So we said the back office of a bank is just like a factory. So how can you apply the principles of innovative thinking to a bank? You know, out of that came the biggest consulting practice of Eicher Consultancy, ECS. We worked with all the top banks in India like ICICI Bank and the insurance companies, Bajaj Allianz, and so many different banks and insurance companies, where we taught the manufacturing system of the Japanese total quality management and the Six Sigma thinking, and we applied that to banks and finance. So if you have that same ability to think, when I first told this to my people who are engineers working with me and who were working on the shop floor, they were flabbergasted. They thought, how can you ever think of applying factory solutions to banks? But now everybody knows, whether it is IT companies, whether they are BPO companies, whether they are banks, insurance companies, the knowledge of engineering and manufacturing will help you with process knowledge, better execution, and building quality into every process and waste-free operations. That is the way I would like you to think. Then you will become an exceptional banker and you will become an exceptional service provider when you take that engineering approach. Shubhra Day is asking a question. You came to know through a telephonic conversation with one of the representatives of SOIL that SOIL did not provide any post-MBA job assistance for students having more than 8 years of experience. You have 9 years in healthcare. Well, it's like this. We want to be very truthful, Shubhra. The companies who come to recruit for SOIL are not looking for people with so many years of experience. You see, when they come to SOIL, they are looking for people only with 1, 2, 3 years of experience. So they are not looking for roles which are for more experienced people, because that's not why they come to campus interviews to institutes. For that, they do lateral recruitment. So we want to be very truthful to people with long years of experience. We say to you, come to SOIL for the learning that you will get, for the exposure you will get, but be completely clear that the chances of your finding companies that are looking for placement in SOIL for your kind of model is rare. The companies which come here, of course, we will show them your resume. For example, Max Healthcare is one of our close friends, and the chairman of Max, Anil Sachdev, is an investor in our school. He serves as a member of our advisory board, and so on and so forth. But will they come to recruit people with 9 years of experience? Answer is no. So even though we know many healthcare companies which are associated with SOIL, including the pharma industry like Dr. Reddy's lab, these people don't come to us for recruiting people with more experience. That is the honest truth. So I would request you to consider SOIL only if you are inspired by improving your own learning. Come to us to invest in your learning and be aware of the risk in placement. That's all we are saying. We are saying that we do not, we should speak the absolute truth to you. If after that you still come to us, you are very welcome. But be aware that the profile of the students is people with 2 to 3 years of experience, and that is the kind that companies are looking for in soil. That's all you should know. What are the qualities someone should have for HR? Rohit Sethi is asking. Rohit, I would say there are 5 things. First, you should really deeply care for people. Now, deeply caring for people is about, I will just tell you a little story. Mother Teresa was called to address the annual conference of HR professionals in the country, and Mother Teresa was already quite old at that time. She was frail and she was bent, but she came and told, she was asked to give a keynote speech. So she said, "My brothers and sisters, I don't know why you have called me to this conference. I am neither an HR professional nor have I worked in industry. I don't think I am the right person to be called here, but since you have called me with so much of love, I came. I asked you only 2 questions, she said, and I will not speak more. I will only ask you 2 questions. So she asked, do you know your people and do you love them? That's all she asked. There was complete silence in the room, and then many people had tears in their eyes, and then they started, there was a standing applause that went on and on and on and on and on. So I would like to just echo what Mother Teresa said. Do you have a genuine curiosity to know people, to know what they stand for, to know what their life is about? And do you get the joy in being of help to others, in truly helping others to grow and develop? Do you get happiness when you give happiness to others? And do you have this kind of interest in you to say, I want to know why people don't perform at their best, I want to know why people have fears, I want to know how to help people to overcome their fears, I want to know how people learn, I want to know how to make people learn. So this kind of curiosity in people and their potential and the ability to think out of the box by getting into other people's shoes, that level of empathy, that ability to build that connect from heart to heart, I think these are some of the things that I would look for in a good HR professional. So if you have them, you are very welcome. Saurabh Khandelwal is asking, what kind of environment does soil provide for entrepreneurship? Is there any dedicated platform? Well, Saurabh, as the school has been founded by all entrepreneurs, all I can say is that we encourage entrepreneurial thinking right through. For example, in our existing batch, there is a group of students from Chennai. They call themselves Quenchers. They have actually created a coffee bar inside the school, and they sell filter coffee, beverages and other kinds of things as an experiment in entrepreneurship, and we have given them the facilities to do that. Similarly, we have many entrepreneurs who come here for guest lectures. We have, for example, Startup Saturday, a group of entrepreneurs that come to Soil regularly to discuss case studies. Then in the past, some of our board members have also funded couple of startups created by our students. So I think these are the facilities. Because we don't have huge space, we don't have a dedicated incubation center, but we encourage entrepreneurship a lot. And I think it just depends upon the kind of person you are. If you take the initiative, you will find there are mentors who are entrepreneurs. You will find there are many entrepreneurs who are mentoring our students, and you should therefore be mentored by an entrepreneur, and you should get an exposure. We also are great friends with TIE, the Indus Entrepreneurship Network, and so we take every opportunity to connect you with such people. And of course, we teach all the basic things that are needed for you to be a successful entrepreneur. And of course, many of us are ourselves entrepreneurs. The board is full of entrepreneurs, so we also encourage our students to become entrepreneurs. Anu Dhiman is asking a question, how can business leadership program or HR management help me if I wish to continue as an architect after soil? A very nice question, Anu. In fact, I was telling somebody else who was a fashion designer that architects have this ability to use this three-dimensional thinking, what we call spatial intelligence. And this helps you with design thinking and innovation. So in the business program, you will get exposed to, first of all, learning how to understand your own creativity better. You will also understand how to drive innovation in a company. You will learn how to work with people and make them more successful. You will learn how to understand customers and markets and position your own brands. With this kind of rich perspective, you will become an architect which is more innovative, more customer oriented and more people oriented. So if you want to return back to your practice or want to join another design firm, I think you would be a natural. But also if as an architect you want to get into styling and product development and getting into areas which as an architect you want to apply on new product development, I think I would be personally very open to considering such a person. If I was running a service offering in which I wanted more innovation, I would welcome somebody with your background. So I would say that certainly it will add a lot of value to you. In fact, we are very excited about people like very bright people from architecture and design and such disciplines entering our school. I think that will add a lot of richness to the class conversation as well. And Swati Muralidharan, you are asking, could you please elaborate on the work of a research assistant in soil? Yes, Swati, you are required to work with one of our faculty members. As a research associate, you get reduction in fees and you are asked to work several hours a week. You will be given a project to do. For example, you might be assisting the faculty to do some research. We are members of the Harvard Publishing and Harvard Library and cases. So the faculty member may ask you to study the Harvard catalog, study the case studies, compare one case with the other, do some literature survey, or the faculty may guide you to prepare some new instrument or questionnaire for you to study what is happening in other environment. So you will be given some structured assignment in which your work is measured on a weekly basis and you are required to spend several hours a week assisting the faculty in doing research and helping in improving the quality of teaching in the classroom. And that is what you are required to do. Mahesh Prince is asking a question, what's the scope for people with experience and the more maturity which will help you to deal with people better? But if you join a pure HR role in a company which is not an IT company, please do not expect that people will give you more salary simply because you have worked for 3 to 4 years extra. You will have to prove to them that your 3 to 4 years of extra work has really made you a far better learner, a far better team person, then they might value that. But please don't expect the number of years to be counted in a new domain like HR. Unless of course you get into an HR domain within an IT company, then a company may value it. Now, Sumit Kumar Singh is asking, sir, an inane question. At 12 lakhs fees, why not traditional MBA from listed top 20 colleges? This is a question from my parents and friends. Besides opportunity cost point, I was not able to convince them and I also have little bit anxiety. Well, Sumit, it's very simple. First of all the programs are costing around the same, all good programs. So whether it is soil or it is any other program, they are all more or less the same fee. Some are more expensive like ISB, some are less expensive, which you are aware of. You have to look at the return on investment. If you invest 12 lakhs and study for 1 year, let's say you are meanwhile earning 4-5 lakhs. So you have given up your 5 lakh salary, you have invested 12 lakhs, so your investment is 17 lakhs. Now let us say you get a salary even of 9 lakhs in soil or 8 lakhs, which is on the lower side. You may be fortunate, you may get 12 lakhs also. Now look at the fact that let's say you are earning 8 to 9 lakhs, in 2 years time you have recouped your investment. Now if you compare that, let's say that if you study in the top, so-called top 20, first of all we have not listed ourselves in any competition for getting top 20 listing or anything like that, because we are not in that rat race of coming in the listing, because we are a very new school with a new focus. But assuming you apply to one of the IIMs, let's say you spend 14 lakhs in their fees and you study for 2 years and you are earning the same 5 lakhs, so you have spent 24 lakhs in your education of 2 years salary and the 14 lakhs fee. Now this 24 lakhs And let's say you get a salary of, if you are one of the fortunate ones, you get a salary of, let's say 12 lakhs or 14 lakhs. It takes you almost the same time to recoup your investment. Plus, in soil you have saved 1 full year. It's not just the salary you have earned. That 1 year has given you an extra advantage. So, even if you compare with the best school in the country and look at the overall investment you make, well, we have statistics to prove that the return on investment in soil is amongst the top 10 in the country. This is actual hard data. This is not something I am making up. And you know, you and your parents, our marketing and admissions team will be very happy to send you a detailed report which shows why the ROI on our school is compared with the best top 20 institutes in the country. We will be very happy to ask that information. Please tell your marketing, we can send you a full data based on facts and figures that you can show to your parents and you can think about it yourself. That is the honest answer to this question. Kiran Chaudhary is asking, you have 2 years of experience in engineering and quality side and I am interested in HRLP. Suggest how it would help me. Well, as I mentioned some time back, Kiran, by working in engineering and quality, if you are used to asking questions like, what does my customer want? How do I build it into a process design? How that helps me to deliver superior quality? This mindset, if you bring it to HR, to say what do my employees want? How to develop an offering for employees which is based on what they consider value and quality. How to have consistency in the process of delivering for our employees a great experience. For example, the training process. For example, the induction process. For example, the compensation and benefits process. For example, the whole process of job rotation. Each one of these processes can be enriched with the quality mindset. So if you bring that to the class, if you look at employees as customers and create value for them, then that's how you are thinking comprehensively. So I would encourage you to think like that. No, I think I've already answered Mahesh's Prince's question earlier. So I think with this, no, Ajay, so Adi Bhushan is asking a question. I want to know how necessary is it for a leader to be involved in social work and is such work of relevance if we are aiming for profiles in IT companies? Adi, it is extraordinarily relevant. I don't know if you are aware of the amendment in the Indian Companies Act. By law now in India, 2% of your profits you have to employ in corporate social responsibility. Every major company in India is picking up lot of work on social innovation and social work now. And they are encouraging employees. For example, in Mahindra Satyam, Mahindra IT, Mahindra technology sector, they have something called ESOP, Employee Social Options Program. That means companies give the opportunity for employees to take time off from company time to go and work on social work. Secondly, when you do social work and volunteering, it gives you a lot more happiness. That happiness makes you a more attractive leader. That makes you a better team worker. Let me give you a story. Many years back in Boeing company, some of my friends were involved into designing a new leadership program with Boeing. The person who was heading executive education and development of Boeing was Dr. Gary Jusela, who was also a professor at SOIL. He's a PhD from Yale. This gentleman did an experiment. He made the senior leaders of Boeing who were having difficulty in working as a team, who were having conflicts between functions. These leaders, they went and collectively did volunteering work on weekends. They went to serve the Afro-American black neighborhood impoverished district in Seattle. By working together in volunteer social work, they improved their trust with each other. They became more inspired. They began to work together as a team. Out of that came new product development, new aircraft design and development. And Boeing turned the corner and began to gain market share again from Airbus. So I want to tell you that social work has profound impact on people's psyche, philosophy, and their very being. And all education must be a combination of knowing from the brain, doing through physical action and being from the spirit. If a good MBA program has a right combination of knowing, doing and being, it becomes a truly meaningful education. That is what our vision in soil is. And that is why Harvard Business School invited us to present our case study in a program that was done in Bombay for all the top institutes of the country, including IIMs, SP Jain. We were invited to present our case study to all the top institutes in the country, and we were chosen as a role model institute in the country to present this wonderful case study of knowing, doing and being. And that's what I would like to therefore do that from other school. So I think with this I would like to wish each one of you all the very best in your respective endeavors. I hope you will also take time. We are coming up with an election. I hope each one of you will consciously act like citizens of the country. You will take interest in knowing your candidates, in voting for the most honest candidate and actively enabling our people to do so that we produce the kind of country that we can dream about. In soil, we were all very active also in the movement against corruption. We were on Ramlila ground with Anna Hazare ji, all our faculty, all our staff, and we actively participate in all citizenship activity. And I hope you all will also do the same. So I wish you all the very best and thank you very much for listening. Good night.